This is Dr. Goodin. I'm continuing to talk about a conversation I had just now with a student that just finished data collection. He said to me, "What's next?" And I said, "Chapter 4 and 5." And I have resources on probably this playlist, at least on my channel, Dr. Joel B. Goodin YouTube channel, where you can go and my students and you, perhaps depending on what university you're using in template for a dissertation, you can go and look and you can get guidance on starting to chip away at the sections of chapter 4 and then chapter 5. I have step-by-step guidance on how to do each of those sections. But I started talking to him, and I think that's important that I follow up with here, is so he, there's an introduction to chapter 4, but there's also, next a results section typically. And in the results section, I told him it's sort of an only the facts, ma'am, sort of situation, only the facts. And with a qualitative study, it is somewhat more subjective. With a quantitative study, it's purely objective. Either way, with a qualitative study, what you're doing is you're being objective as possible, You're not going to present anything as conjecture or commentary or you're not going to say anything without having evidence to support it. And whereas the data in a quantitative study are the actual quantitative data set. The data in a qualitative study are the interviews, and to be more specific, the quotes. And at this time, you're going to sort of you will have sort of categorized, you will have organized the information. And that's the subjective part, that organization, because you're going to say, in response to research question 1, 3, or 4, or however many it is, themes emerged. They were, and then you're going to name them A, comma B, comma C, comma D. And I'd suggest putting the themes in italics and not the commas. That's just a side note. So you're going to say, in response to research question 1, or whatever it is, research question 3, 4 themes emerged. They are A, B, C, and D. And then you just start, okay, you're funneling down. You're saying, research question 1, okay, 4 themes emerged. Now I'm going to tell you about the first one. You don't use that language or that conversational tone, but so you say, in response to research question 1, 4 themes emerged, A, B, C, and D. They were A, B, C, and D. With regard to the theme of A, participants talked about, this particular study was about black fathers and their interactions and involvement with families. So, I sort of gave examples to him without seeing the data and the findings. So I just was making things up, and he knew that, and you know that now. So, but I said, so one theme could be like difficulty interacting, maybe due to a wife or partner. So, you could say theme 1 was with regard to research question 1. Which I won't make one up right now, but theme 1 was difficulty getting access to kids. And you might say several black fathers discussed having difficulty. They were, you'd say this in scholarly tone and wording, but you'd say they had difficulty. They wanted to be involved, but they just couldn't because they had difficulty with the access. And so you might say, however, they varied in the types of difficulties they had gaining access. You might say participant 1, you're not going to give the real names. Obviously, you're going to use pseudonyms or alphanumeric codes or something. You're going to say participant 1 maybe talked about his ex-wife's hostility towards him and how that really presents some access issues. She just doesn't even want to help and make it work and take the kids halfway or anything like that, and so he's trying. And then you might say you want to use connector sentences, relational content-driven connector sentences. I'll explain. For like you did in chapter 2, synthesis, your chapter 4 discussion of participant quotes needs to transition from one quote to the next to the next. And you need to use connecting wording. So like participant 1, participant 2 had difficulty with his ex-wife as well, but he focused in his interview more on how busy his ex-wife was rather than the hostility faced by, or the hostility reported by participant 1. And so then you'll go in to back that up with a quote. Participant 2 said, "It's not that my wife is mean or bad, she's just so busy with working 2 or 3 jobs or whatever it is, that she just isn't able to really communicate with me as well as we would like and as well as I would like to make a visit happen to see my kids." And so you're relating every participant together under the same theme. You've established these participants and these specific quotes from these participants are in the same theme, but they might be a little bit different, and you're going to sort of compare, contrast as you present them. You're not going to conjecture about them and sort of say, well, I don't believe this guy, it seemed like he was lying, or anything like that. But you're going to present sort of how the information stated by one person is related similarly or differently, or partially similar, partially different from another participant. And you'll continue in that way. Participant 1 spoke of hostility, hostility from an ex-wife. He said, my wife just hates me, or my ex-wife just hates me. She really just doesn't want to help me see my kids. Participant 2 also had difficulty with his wife, but unlike participant 1, who spoke of the hostility of his ex-wife, participant 2 focused on the busyness of his ex-wife, period. He said, comma, open quotes, my wife is just so busy that it's hard to communicate and set up times to make it work. So it's really more of a busyness issue. And so you'll want to present all the data pieces that way. You're never going to just conjecture, and I'll get into that in the next video. Please like, subscribe, share if you're finding this helpful. Thank you.